and we are going to bring up our Photoshop. So what I want to do is we're going to bring up this first image. There we go. So now I've got this image brought into here. And let me work around here. I'm going to bring in our... So now if I'm going to take this and I want to add a logo to it, I'm going to bring in our eye magnet. Put it over here. Got to bear with me. I apologize. There it is. All right, so we've got this image. And now let's say there's lots of different things you can do with this. I'm just going to pull and drag in, as you can, hopefully you can see here, the eye magnet logo, and kind of bring that up, and we'll place it in. So I'm not essentially going to give you a Photoshop tutorial today because there's lots of different things that will go on with this. But quickly, if you have something like this and you have Photoshop, but you don't really know how to use it, what we can do here is first I'm going to just rasterize this layer, which means that I can edit it how I need to. From there, I'm going to grab the magic wand tool, make sure I have that highlighted, and just click on the background and it removes it. And so you can see there's still some space that might have some stuff that I want to get rid of. We'll bring that in and we'll kind of clear this out. So obviously, if you're not proficient with Photoshop, I'm sure this looks like a lot. And for me personally, when I'm looking at this up close, I see a lot of these little, if I zoom in on this, it's not clear and crisp on the letters. You can kind of tell there's a little bit of fuzziness and some, it's because it's not a high quality image that I grabbed and put in here. But that's if somebody's looking at it super close. You can kind of tell it's hard to see from that spot. But one of the things I'm going to do, is kind of give this a glow. And then that can help kind of eliminate some of that. And it'll also make it kind of pop out a little bit more on the darker background. So we're going to stick with that. One of the things that I love about Photoshop, and it's a little bit harder I would try to do with this, is now I mentioned this on the first episode that I was with Patric, was the Photoshop beta. And that's where you can kind of manipulate the image in ways that AI can kind of distort and do different things with. And so with this one, it's a little bit trickier. Like you could go in and see that there is a license plate there, but it's hard to see. Like the only way, I guess, you can see it there. And so now they've taken the generative fill with AI and have taken it out of the beta, and now it's available across all Photoshop applications. So what you can do is you can use either, let me get this and I can go back to it, is this lasso tool. Or you could use the marquee tool as well. And so you can see it automatically comes up with this generative fill. And a lot of times it wants you to be very specific. Again, just like picking out the content from before, is go in here and actually make sure that it what you're trying to say is specific. So I'm just going to write remove letters and see what it does. It might take a second for it to load up here. As you can see, it's kind of going there. This one, it kind of blurted out, but essentially that's what I was looking for, because when we zoom back out, you're not really going to be able to tell that this person's license plate is there, or to be able to read the license plate. So essentially I'm going to leave it as is, and then that's one where you would export and save it as. So, but I'm going to use this one since it's a little bit clear. If it comes up, there we go. And we will bring it in here, and I will kind of show you a little bit more as far as what the AI can do when it comes to this. Let me remove this one. Make sure there's no comments or questions. If you have any questions, let me know. So one of the things that, like I said, you can go through, and let's use this tool, and we'll zoom in. And I've always been a big proponent of trying to remove people's license plates, especially too if you're a shop owner doing window tint and you take pictures. This person obviously has a high-end car, and you could probably, I know it's overkill sometimes, but I don't like posting someone's license plate because you can go back and kind of look up somebody's address or whatever it might be just from their license plate. So what we're going to do is, again, I'm going to bring this up, and we'll just say replace letters and numbers with I've done this before, with a surfer. So who knows what this is actually going to create? And that's kind of the point. I wanted to see if there's something. A lot of times when you do this, you'll put in something and it's like, that is not what I wanted at all. So let's generate this. Again, it's going to take a minute. And one of the things I didn't show in the last one was that it gives you a few different options as far as what you can do with this. So we're almost at the end here. This one looks weird. So now you've got a hand kind of, I don't know why that would be a surfer. This one, it kind of created some sort of a block over the top of it. And this looks like some random letters. So let's change this. And a lot of times it says just be specific. So we'll just put white space and see what happens. And I know this is very specific as far as the license plate. I'll try to create something as far as the background here in a minute. And that way too, if you're ever playing around, and so again, I asked for a white space, it did black. This one, at least it kind of blurred it out, which might be what I use. And I think that's, for the time being, I think that's the best case. So we've kind of blurred out that. What we can do too is, I'm going to go back to this tool, and let's put in here remove people, and we'll see if it can kind of get rid of them and just have the blank storefront. A lot of times, again, you have to try a few times with this, and we'll see if this is actually going to work. So there you go. The only thing, as you can notice, yes, it removed the people, but it changed the Bentley logo. And it kind of changes the front of the car. So those are the things you usually have to be aware of as far as that goes. What I can do too is make sure I don't include the car so that it stays as is. I know this is a lot of me typing and not talking, so I apologize. But that's the thing with this Photoshop beta, is that it can be a little tricky to kind of figure out. And so, like I said, if you do have this, I hope you're playing around with it, because there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. And there you go. So there is a little bit of something going on there. We'll go back and we'll stick with this. And again, too, you can, here's one other thing. Let me see if I can get this. So if you go to this main one, you can select subject, which is another added feature with the update to Photoshop. And what I can do is essentially make a copy of this so I can, let me remove this. So now we just have the vehicle itself. And what you can do, since I'm kind of hiding this, we'll bring this back, but we will remove the people. And let me try, let's see, one last thing on here. We'll see how good this can do. So hopefully it creates a shorter storefront and then creates the sunset in the background. So if you want to put this in a totally different place and it removes the Louis Vuitton logo that's there, this can be an option. So there you go. So it kind of made the storefront a little shorter, and we can change those up. I like the first one. And so now we have a completely new image, essentially. There's people through the window, but for the most part, we don't have anything kind of showing. And then again, we're just going to go, if I can do this. There we go. Go and drop this in. We'll do this fast. So now what I want to show, and hopefully I'm not going too overboard. So now we've gone and we've found an image. We've gone and created a new image from what we had. If you're able to use Photoshop and kind of can change up how everything looks. And you kind of take care of that, and then you kind of have a whole new image from that. From there, let me go back here, and I'm going to save this one. So now you've created this image.